Hey y'all, hey, welcome back to my channel. It is Christian here, and you're tuned in for more of my 2 cents. If you are new to the channel, then welcome. Thank you so much for tuning in today. And if you are a returning two center, thank you so much for coming back for another video. I appreciate you guys. We are getting closer and closer to the 1K mark, and I'm excited about that. I've been putting in some work, and so it is very rewarding to be growing, authentically and organically with people who enjoy the content. You're finding it and you're connecting with it, and you return to watch it. So I couldn't ask for anything more than that. So thank you guys so much for being here. If you have not subscribed to the channel, I hope that you would consider becoming a part of the 2 cent crew after watching this video, because I am always grateful when you guys send in emails for me to give my 2 cents on, because at the end of the day, my videos are all my opinion, which majority of our take on other people's lives or certain situations are our opinion. It's not a bad thing. I actually think it's a great thing because it supports critical thinking, which I think all of us should be doing, and utilizing that skill, that gift, and that ability. Watch my video on how to be a critical thinker. I have done one on that per someone's request, a viewer's request. And I think that is very important that we continue to build that skill set, especially in a world that is being taken over by AI, honey. And if you're like, what is AI? Artificial intelligence. People really don't have to be smart in real life. They can just ask a computer to do it. Like they say on social media, get somebody else to do it. That's literally what society is about to do. Get AI to do it. And I don't like that. So I am going to continue to put out content that doesn't really speak so much to the algorithm as much as it does to the viewer, because I don't want to be a robot out here. I want to have my own thoughts. I want to have thought-provoking dialogue and conversation with other people who think for themselves based off of logic and not what someone else told them, more than what they've been able to prove themselves or agree with internally first before they accept someone else's thoughts on it. So um, today I am going to be giving my 2 cents from an email, on an email that was sent to me from a viewer. I won't give their name, but I will definitely be reading that email. And before I do that, I got to go over the 3 points that matter most before I start any discussion. Number one, you're not alone. Number two, you're not crazy. Number three, God, your creator, still loves you, and I do too. So let's get into it. Hi, Christian. Happy I found your channel. I have been binge watching and am grateful for your perspective because it is helping me to see more clearly and process my emotions around my current situation at church. I became a Christian about 3 years ago after having a very real experience with Jesus. Since then, I have been exploring churches and found myself at a Calvary chapel for the past 2.5 years. Over this period of time, the sermons have focused almost exclusively on the rapture, the end times, and book of Revelation. I don't really disagree with I don't really agree, I'm sorry. I don't really agree with the doctrine of the rapture, and have mentioned this to people at church a few times. I was taken aside a couple of times before asking if I was trying to lead others away from the church doctrine by talking to people about how I don't believe in the rapture. Despite this, I stayed because I really like the people and the young adults group there. I started attending Sunday sermons less, but went to Tuesday service and Friday young adult group. Okay, so I want to give my 2 cents on each one while I am actually reading, right? So the thing about this, well, first let me say thank you so much for watching the channel and for being a 2 center. I am so glad that even a little bit of my um content can give you some perspective and help you during this season of transition or awakening that you are experiencing right now, because it's a really big deal. And a lot of the things that you are experiencing are common. That is so, oh my goodness, this is great validation, because that's literally why I start my videos with "you are not alone and you are not crazy and God your creator still loves you." From you stating that you had a real encounter and a real experience with Jesus, that's your experience. And I think a lot of times in church, Christianity to be specific, people have real encounters initially. They might be emotionally driven. Let's be completely honest here. A lot of us have things going on in our everyday life that drives us to either be happy, to be sad, to feel alone, or to feel connected, to, feel as if though we're lacking something and we need more. That's the human experience, right? And so church usually fills that void with that connection aspect, and you being surrounded by people who believe like you and feel like you and show you love and give you this option, right, of Jesus and of God and God's love that will, surpass everything else you could ever imagine that man could ever give you. And then when you feel that and you experience that at church the first time, it's like a high. You're constantly trying to get it again. You're constantly trying to find that feeling again in praise and worship, or in the sermon, or in your engagement with your church peers, and you don't find it again. You don't. And that's when they usually have to have tarrying services at the altar for you to have a breakthrough, because that initial feeling seems to be ever fleeting. You never find it again. You're always searching or trying to prove yourself, or, get back to that place of God. And it's like, God, how did this become this tumultuous? I just wanted to be with you, Lord. I just wanted to feel you, God. And I don't feel it. It's not giving what it gave when I first came. And that is a real thing. The next thing that you mentioned is that you did not agree with the doctrine of the rapture, and you mentioned it to other people at church. That is the right thing to do. You did the right thing. I want to tell you, you did the right thing. Because as I stated earlier in this video when I first started about critical thinking, you have a right to question anything that you ever hear, that you're ever taught, that someone ever shares with you, and expects you to take it on as your truth from the time it leaves their lips. If you want me to believe anything, I need to know. I have a list of questions. I have a process that I go through that helps me to determine if I accept it as my truth. Just because you believe it doesn't mean I have to. I may go to the church, I may, read the Bible, I may enjoy some of the stories in the Bible, but if there's something in the Bible that does not connect with me, I am by no means obligated to receive it as the infallible truth because it's in the book. If it just doesn't resonate with me, I don't have to receive that. And that is okay. I don't think people are often given that luxury or the autonomy. Let's just be clear here. People are not given the autonomy to have a different of opinion or a different view on something that's being taught. And it's just simply not fair. It's just simply not okay to be um pretty much like herd mentality into something that doesn't sit well with you. And for reference, autonomy is a person's ability to act on his or her own values and interests. Autonomy, the definition is a person's ability to act on his or her own values or interests. And in church, you are not given that autonomy. For a lot of us, we weren't given that even as children growing up. You don't get to act on your own interests or in your own, values. No, it's what you're taught, it's what you're told, it's what you're shown, and that's what you do. That's what you believe. That's what you accept as truth. And then you grow up with those same beliefs, and they were never really taken on by you from your own research or your own feelings. They were given to you by someone else's choice for you. Who child? It's a lot, but it's reality. So you stating that you had, your questions, and you mentioned it to other church members. I believe that's what you're supposed to do when you are new to any organization or any belief system. You're going to have questions. You don't go from being what the church would describe the world to salvation and this and just feeling like everything you guys tell me, I'm taking it on because I love Jesus. No, just as you would question things outside of church, you have every right and you should be questioning things in church. And if someone has a problem with that, you should really question them and their motives on why you have to throw away your own mind and take on their mind, which they would love to cloak it as the mind of God. And it's often not the mind of God. It's often the mind of the ministry. It's the mind of the body. It's the mind of the leader in that house. And I'm using quotes because that's what they call their church, the leader of this house, right? So you did the right thing there, and I appreciate you for that. also, well, I commend you, not appreciate you. I commend you for taking those steps and speaking out. The next thing that was a red flag for me was that you had been taken aside a couple of times being asked if you were trying to lead other people away from church doctrine. And I think that that is insanity. I think that that's insanity that someone would assess that you asking questions to your fellow church peers as a newcomer in the faith, you asking them would be looked at as if you're trying to take people away from Christ or from the church. So, are there holes in the doctrine? Are there holes in the doctrine? No one can pull me to the side and tell me that marriage is a sham or it's a scam and I shouldn't have signed a certificate and got the government in my business. What? If I chose to honor it accordingly, that's my business. You go do what you want to do. Use a Fruit Loop as your ring, baby. I don't care. I don't have nothing to do with that. Get married at McDonald's or sign a post-it as your certificate. I don't care what you choose to do, but this is how I chose to move. And it's okay if we got different things out of the covenant of marriage. It's totally different. If it's a contract to you or it's a covenant to me, it's totally different how we perceive this choice, but at the same time, I can honor my beliefs as you can honor yours. And it doesn't have to be me trying to like take people away from what they want to practice. It was just you asking a question or you stating what you felt about it. And I feel like that's what it should be. But then when it becomes something darker and sinister and people are pulling you to the side, pretty much trying to reprimand or correct you or jerk your chain about it, that's when red flags should go up. Like, why are you doing this? Why are you coming to me again about what I asked other church people like that I'm close to? First of all, how did it even get back to you? So that means that A, you were being discussed. Someone went and told. Someone went in, I don't want to say snitch, but an informant of types. Like, sister such and such asked me or said that she didn't really agree with the rapture. And I mean, that gives very much what the rapture talks about when you're at that time. You're literally not going to be able to you're going to be having to hold Bible studies in a basement, and you ain't going to be able to share the gospel openly and freely for the fear or punishment of being killed, right? That's what this sound like. Y'all, you out here having to pretty much whisper about it because they going back and telling on you about what you think about what you're being taught. And you all should be able to expound upon the teaching and get an understanding accordingly together, because who else are you going to get the understanding from? Not the world. You were already out there and you chose salvation. So now you need an understanding of that. And if they take offense to that, that's a problem, because either they feel insecure about it or they too don't believe it, but they're just like, oh no, you know, like, no, you can't be questioning the Bible. It's just, you just believe it. I think not. So you said despite that, you stayed because you really like the people and the young adults group. Okay, cool. I think that's great of you. So you still tried to stick it out. You started going to church less and you started attending Tuesday service and Friday young adults group. That's your choice to choose when you attend, what days, what services, totally free will, and you exercised it. About 9 months ago, I started dating, and after a lot of pressure from the church, we got engaged after about 6 months. Say what? Did. After a lot of pressure from the church, I would like to know, what do this pressure look like? What does this pressure look like? And by that I mean, like, are these other adults coming to you in this individual telling you guys that y'all need to get this to the altar? Like, I don't understand the audacity that must have been on sale from Macy's, that someone would come to another adult couple and tell them what they need to do next in their relationship. No one at church, at your job, in your family, in Kroger or Walmart should feel comfortable enough to tell you when it's time to take the next step in your relationship. Like, can you go sit on your row with your funeral fan and mind your business? Who, Jesus. Yep. Audacity was definitely given 2 for 1. Because ain't no way you started dating somebody and they were pressuring you to get engaged. Man, people at church, I'm telling y'all, people in church take a lot of liberty and they take advantage of people based off of their lack of knowledge in organized religion. People know, and that's the video I posted earlier last week about, are you being prayed for or prayed on? People will take your weakness. They feel like being a newcomer or a new convert is a weakness. Oh, you don't know the things of the Bible. You don't know the things of the church. Let us tell you. Let us help you. Let us indoctrinate you. That's what it means. Now let's go ahead and impose upon you, project onto you what we believe you should be doing, how you should be acting, and what you should be, engaging in, and then get you to do it. And that's how these churches turn into cults. That's how it turns into cultish followings when you wipe away your own mind, your own hard drive, and they start downloading all their new information, beliefs, and behavior onto you. And it's not fair. It's not fair. Staying pure before marriage created a ton of sexual pressure, and boundaries became really hard. We were recommended to go to the church for marriage counseling. At first, the couple that does it were totally on board to do it and excited. About a week later, I got a call from the marriage counselor telling me he couldn't do it after all because I wasn't attending the church regularly enough, and asking me if I agreed with the doctrines of the church, to which I told him I don't totally agree. I was super upset because it felt like the church wasn't helping me when I needed them most and were again questioning me about doctrines. What does it matter if I believe in the rapture or not? Okay, these are good questions, and you're asking the right things because, again, again, these are this is your right to think critically for yourself what serves you and what doesn't. I feel like Christianity should not and does not need to be a one size fit all experience or a choice. Once you decide that you want to be a believer of God, be it whatever religion it is, I know that a lot of people take their religion and their practices very well, very strongly. Like it's hardcore. It ain't no ins and out, ebbs and flows, ups and downs. I think Christianity may have some of the most lenient followers of its religion. And by that, I mean people who just aren't hellfire and brimstone only. They're like, no, my God is a God of love, and I'm moving the way I want to move, right? I'm still doing the things that the people of the old church and the old days and the old mindset I'm changing that, right? I want a relationship with God as my savior and creator, but I don't want to be condemned, and I don't want to be judged, and I don't want to be separated or harshly reprimanded for my lifestyle and choices. And so the freedoms that a lot of people, millennials probably specifically, are um, vying for is the separation of the judgment and the bondage, and the acceptance of the love, the peace, the joy, um, the manifestation that God has, the power that God has, and that's within us. We're okay with that side of religion, well, with Christianity, but we're not okay with the old school way that makes you go to hell for everything you do. And so here, hearing that you were approved for marital counseling, right? And then a week before, you get a call saying that they're no longer going to be able to counsel you and your fiance that they forced you to get engaged to, essentially. You're struggling with, with the sexual boundaries of it all, and the pressure that you feel and the boundaries you have to uphold. And instead of giving you the tools and the resources to be able to navigate that as a woman in church, and they want you to be chaste and pure and all of this, but you're going to withhold that from me because of church attendance. I hope y'all hearing this, because I didn't write it. I'm just reading it. If this is the way that people in church behave, and again, people in church will get underneath this video and say things like everybody ain't like that. Well, baby, majority of y'all are. Majority of you all are, and then you scream out to people to get over church hurt, that you shouldn't turn your back on God because of what man did. Well, where exactly am I supposed to go? Home. That's where I suggest you go. That's my 2 cents. If the people in church want to forsake you when they say God would never, that sounds like hypocritical teaching to me. God would never turn his back on you. God is a good father. It doesn't matter what you've done or how you come. Okay, well, that's what you're telling me about God. But then I have to encounter you, and you're a whole clown bag. You're constantly setting up orange cones and detour signs for me. You're never accepting who I am or how I come. You're not trying to give me tools and resources to actually direct me to the way, the truth, and the life that you claim God is. There's always a barrier to entry as it relates to relationship with the humans in church, because their standards, they set the standards past heaven. And I thought God was in heaven. So now the church's standards are so high that you are not able to reach them, and they are out here denying you access. Okay. Okay. Makes total sense. I mean, and I'm being so facetious. It makes so much sense now. I get it. Like, come on, you guys. And this is how people who are in need of love and attention and devotion and mentoring and counseling and emotional healing, they can't get it. They can't get it. Even when they turn to you, they can't get it. And by you, I mean the church. Even when they turn to the church, it's nowhere to be found. You all claim to have the answers, but then when people come, it's like, oh, not for you. You didn't do this, so we can't give you what you need. What? I like they say, I'm so glad that God is not like man. I am constantly reminded of why I do not go to church at least 3 times a week when I'm having conversations with certain people, in the way that they act and the mean, nasty things they say about their church members, their fellow church members. And I just be sitting and thinking to myself, I don't even talk like this about people that are in church, and I'm not in church. And you're in church with these people, dogging them out, being nasty, saying things that are so hurtful about people. And they're your church peers. And here I am not attending church, and I have a way more compassionate heart, with grace and mercy extended, being nice and kind, compassionate, offering almost like playing devil's advocate with people in church about people they go to church with. Like, I don't see it like that. I don't think that's what they're doing. I'm being more understanding of someone else's situation than you are, and they're in church seeking approval of you all. And here I am outside of church, like, I think y'all should be cool with that. Like, I think y'all shouldn't be judging them based off of these things. This is so minor. This is so petty. This is so irrelevant. But people in church will blow it up and make it a big deal because it serves their energy. It serves their emotional desire to torment and manipulate other people. And it's evil. It's disgusting. It's sickening. That it's almost as if though people in church are waiting for you to join church to hurt you. They're ready for you to come in so they can cut you up, damage you, and then tell you to come to the altar for healing and for peace and love and forgiveness. It's sick. It's really giving Stockholm syndrome, y'all. It's really giving Stockholm syndrome. And I don't know if y'all know what that is by definition, but I'm sure about to pull it up, because I don't like to say nothing I don't give definition for. Stockholm syndrome is the psychological condition of a victim who identifies with and empathizes with their captor or abuser and their goals. It's giving Stockholm syndrome, the church version. Y'all want to hurt people, victimize them, abuse them mentally, emotionally, spiritually, financially, and then y'all want them to empathize with you. And then people in church actually do this. People will be subjected to some of the worst treatment, worse than they would even let people get away with in the world, on their job at a store. They'll cut somebody else completely into pieces outside of church, but then they'll get in church and start like connecting with their abuser, excusing their abuser, making all kind of reasons why. Well, I get why they do this, and yeah, they've been hurt and da da da. No, you shouldn't be going through that at the hands of a pastor. You shouldn't be going through that at the hands of a pastor's wife or a pastor's children. Like, don't make excuses for the people who are subjecting you to things you should not be experiencing in church. It's very sad. So now you've been denied marital counseling because your membership has not been, you haven't been attending enough, and you questioned the rapture. So again, we're back to you being discussed and it getting to the counselor that you had questions of the rapture and the doctrination and the church, well, the doctrine that was being taught in. They were told not to counsel you. Disgusting. Completely and utterly disgusting. But wait, there's more. During that time, I was volunteering at the church coffee shop. Then I got a call telling me it won't work out for me to volunteer at the coffee shop because I wasn't attending the church regularly enough. I had attended regularly for the past 2 years. I responded saying, I felt like the church was trying to push me away. Since then, I have been taking a break from attending that church and have been church hopping a little while. I'm sorry, and have been church hopping a little while I deal with my hurt. So here we have another situation of isolation intentionally. This is emotional manipulation and spiritual abuse, you all. And this is all from someone who chose to go to church, freely exercised her choice for salvation and for God, and got to the house of the Lord only to be subjected to isolation, manipulation, and now you're being told, nah, you can't volunteer. You can't volunteer because you ain't coming enough. You are not coming enough, so you can't serve in church. These are the things that I be saying at the beginning of my video. You are not alone. You're not the only person this has happened to. You are not crazy. And God, your creator, still loves you. God would not choose to remove you from the coffee shop volunteer spot because of your attendance. Now I want to know, why are people watching you to that extent to where they know you're not attending, and that's bothering them. So they're going to punish you by removing access to a church coffee shop. You all do understand that the conditioning that this is to get her to fall in line so that she will do and behave the way they want her to. Or you can't do this, huh? You don't want to come to church often? You don't want to show up regularly? You can't serve. What? I thought y'all wanted more people in the kingdom. I thought y'all wanted more people to serve God and to be a part of the ministries of helps and all this other stuff. Wow. Wow. So now y'all are taking away a person's ability to serve and to contribute to the organization because they're not attending the way you think they should be attending, but they're not doing anything to you. They're showing up for the things that they've signed up for. No one is asking her why she isn't. Or, like, is there something going on that we can help you with? And at that point, you should be to say, no, I'm fine. I just haven't been attending, as much on Sundays anymore, but I still come, on Tuesdays and Friday night young adults group. And that should be enough, because you want to know why. Church is one of those kind of things, again, like I said, by choice. Church is one of those things where you go when you feel like you need to or want to. And all of this stuff about going here and there, God don't show up for you here and there. You always call it on God, but you giving him part-time relationship, and you want full-time benefits and blessings from him. What? So for me, I'm supposed to restrict the love and the favor on my children, the love that I give to my children, or the favor that I bestow upon my children, and access to food, shelter, clothes, transportation, whatever. I'm supposed to restrict that or withhold that from them because they didn't hug me enough, or they're not coming to eat their food fast enough. The obligation that you set out to do for those you say you love is the obligation that you have a right to uphold, that you should uphold regardless. And I personally believe that God upholds its love, nurturing, power, regardless. Unconditional, anyone? Agape for 400, Alex? Y'all talk about God's agape love, and then y'all get out here and be having love that comes with so many stipulations and conditions. It is very much hypocritical. So now you can't work at the coffee shop as if though that's supposed to wreck your life, but it was intentional. Now you have been denied the counseling after they rushed you, pressured you to get married to someone you'd only been talking to for 6 months. And now they've removed the ministry of service from you. You want to serve. You want to, dedicate some time to the ministry. Oh no, you can't do that because their standards have been breached. Not God's standards. Their standards were breached. And that's problematic. Oh, but there's more. All right, so as we bring this to the close, let's get into this next unfortunate portion. Okay. I have been meeting with a friend from church at her house for dinner for the past few months. During this time, I have been telling her about my struggle with sexual boundaries and how there's so much pressure to get married quickly so you can have sex, and how I haven't been able to keep sexual boundaries. How can you just decide after a few months to spend the rest of your life with them? And how can you go months of dating without having sex? It felt like an impossible situation. Last week, I got a text from her the day I was supposed to come over telling me she talked to her mom and decided it's best I don't come over anymore. She shared the scripture about how you should not even eat with someone who engages in sexual immorality. Wow, I was totally blindsided. Now I feel sad and judged and excluded from the church and have stopped attending church altogether while I deal with even more hurt. I have been having a real struggle with the idea of dating and marriage as Christian as a Christian, and my attempts to get help from people at church only made me feel worse. Now I feel rejected and confused, and I'm wondering what your what your 2 cents are on this story and my situation so I can make sense of it. Thank you. You are welcome. And I'm not going to say your name, but it is so funny because I had a Pomeranian with the same name, and I miss that puppy. Okay. I miss my dog. I miss my puppy. I love, love, love your name. Thank you so much for writing in, and for allowing me to extend my 2 cents. So, on this last part, right, as we tie it all in for you guys today, thank you so much for sending this email in. And I will also put in the description box of this video how you too can send in your story or your question for me to do a video and give my 2 cents on, right? Let's dig into this last part because, yeah, I don't like this. I don't like it. I don't like it. I don't like it, y'all. I have, I've already went through some of this on, the previous portions of the email, but I do not like this at all. I don't. And I am so glad that you left church. I'm glad. Get yourself back together, recover whatever you feel like you need to do. But let's break this down. So you were meeting with someone, and you know from the church, obviously, and going to her house for dinner, and you confided. That's relationship, right? So you have relationship with this person, and obviously I don't know, but I'm going to assume that she's around the same age as you, because for you to say that she talked to her mom and decided that it was best that she don't come over anymore, why exactly does any young adult or any adult need to go to their parent about something concerning their friend, I have no clue. And I think that it's very sad that your situation or even really it comes down to maturity. So it comes down to like individual adult maturity, and then it comes down to spiritual maturity since you all are in church. The lack of maturity on everyone's part concerning you in this situation saddens me, because again, discernment is lacking. No one is really tapped in and connected with source, with God, to hear that you are in need of a village, of a community, of the love that they're supposed to be giving you based off of being a part of the body of Christ. It would be very difficult for me to encounter or go to my business and have an employee who seems to be struggling. They're not themselves. They may be, like normally jovial and happy and, very talkative and social. And say they come in and they're down and they're not talking or making eye contact and they're moving slower than normal and they're taking a lot of breaks. And, I would ask, like my discernment, I would be able to like notice, oh my goodness, something's off with such and such. Like something just doesn't seem right. Let me ask what's going on. That's because there's relationship there, there's respect there, and I am authentically invested in that person's well-being, not just from a servant level, like you working for me or with me. It's because I care about your well-being overall. And in this situation with this young lady that you were friends with, if she truly had a relationship with you and cared about you overall, it wouldn't have been a thing of, oh no, I can't eat with you anymore because of the sexual immorality, right? I'm doing the quote fingers because that's what she said. And the scripture she quoted about you not being able to come to her home anymore based off of a scripture. What about like counseling and helping me pass this struggle? What about us talking and you saying, okay, sis, whenever you feel like you may want to, or it's too strong, here's something you can do. This is what you should do instead. Call me, text me, leave the house, right? If you feel that urge or it's too much, if that's exactly, if, and I'm going to say this, if that's something you don't want to actually engage in, if it's something you want to engage in, it ain't no phone call that you can make to somebody that's going to stop you. But if it's something you feel like you're struggling with and you don't want to succumb to it, then that's when I would say that as a real friend, if you were explaining to me that it's something that's difficult, I would try to help you to have a way of escape, if you will, right? A way to not uh actually have those encounters that you give into. But no, you were literally left in the water by yourself with no life vest, no floaty, nothing. Everybody has left you. You have been forsaken on 3 different occasions. You have been forsaken by man in the house of God on 3 separate occasions, baby. And these are the signs, not for you to go into church even more and just forget about the people. No, because at that point, you kill a part of yourself. If I have to kill a part of who I am just to exist in your space, baby, that is a cost that I am not willing to pay. I do not want to sit in church or any environment and have to be silent or be quiet or have an attitude or rush out of the church afterwards. I'd rather not be there. If I can be happy and free and flourish outside of an environment like that, that's where you can find me 7 days a week in my space. Shout out to Tom. You're not about to get me to start going to church and shutting down who I am, thinking that that is still me being free in God. I'm not free. I actually have created a new boundary, some more bondage just to exist in your space. And it's not fair. You shouldn't have to do that. You have been forsaken 3 different times by people who were meant to help you on your faith walk. The couple that was supposed to counsel you said, no, thank you. Nope, can't help you. You ain't been coming enough. You haven't earned counseling for your marriage. Then you were forsaken when they removed the ability for you to serve and actually be a part of the ministry and connect with the body Oh, nope, you haven't been attending enough. And we heard that you've been questioning the doctrine. Won't be able to help you. No. You won't be able to help us. No, thank you. Don't come back to the coffee shop. Okay. You will not be making caramel macchiatos and handing out muffins up in here. Okay. Then you have your friend who you thought understood you to then deny you access to her friendship and her the fellowship that you all had with each other, because you shared in true transparency and in all honesty that you were struggling with some things and you had legitimate questions about what you were struggling with. This is not abnormal, anything that you've expressed in this email, baby girl. So please do not feel the guilt and the shame that they were trying to bestow upon you. You were expected to cut off all of these urges and desires without being given any kind of tools to do it, any way to navigate it, any way to wean yourself off of it. And it's not fair and it's not right. And it is a setup from the beginning every single time that will put you in a place of feeling lonely, ashamed. This is like the makeup. Like I said earlier in this video, it is crazy because it seems as if though people in church want people to come to church so they can hurt them, so that they can abuse them, so that they can mistreat them and isolate them. And then once they break you down to your weakest point, then they want you to come to the altar to be rebuilt, to be what do you call it, for God to feel you again. Filled with what? I wasn't broken when I came. I was looking for grace, I was looking for happiness, but I mean, like, I wasn't in the place I'm in now that I've been effing with y'all. Now that I came over here, it's worse than when I was outside. I'm gonna go back outside. That's what I'm gonna do. That's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna go back outside because y'all, it ain't no love in here. This is not how I believe that God wants me to be handled in its name. None of y'all should be operating in God's name because you all are trash. And that's just my 2 cents. It's giving trash. When it's meant to give love unconditionally, when it's meant to give love without judgment, when it's meant to give love with compassion, y'all fail repeatedly. Like an emissions test, y'all are giving smoke and messing up the environment. It is not good. It's not a good look. So you stated that now you're feeling rejected and you're confused and you're wondering, you have so many questions about your faith walk in God when you should not be questioning God. You should not. You should be questioning those humans. God hasn't forsaken you. God didn't do anything to you. And even the Spirit of God isn't in these people. I think that sometimes people think that because individuals have titles, right? Like pastors or evangelists or um, a certain leadership title and position over certain, ministry in the church. That does not mean that the Spirit of God is indwelling. And I'm saying this not even from a spiritual, not even from a church going perspective. I just say this in general. I see God in people all the time when I'm not in a church setting. There's sometimes when I'm on calls with people and I feel the love, I feel the appreciation, I feel the unconditional, like the unwavering desire to be a help and a resource. And that to me is God's love. That's God's love for me. Like, God loves me so much that it makes sure that I encounter love in everything that I do. The way people handle me, the way people talk to me, the way people think about me, the way people support me, the way that people show up for me, the way that people engage with me, the way that people refer me and mention me, the way people request and desire communication and connection with me and to me. That is God's love for me. And that is God's love for you. If the love of God was in any of these people, if the Spirit of God was in any of these people, you would have received the marital counseling you needed. First of all, let's start all the way from the beginning, sis. You would have never been pressured to get engaged after 6 months if the love of God was in these people for you. You would have never had your relationship with church or the Bible questioned when you asked a question about the rapture. That's not God's love. Because I thought God's love came with understanding. I thought we were all supposed to get an understanding, but that's not really true, is it? Not according to these representatives. If God's love was indwelling in these people, you would have never been asked to stop volunteering at the coffee shop. Because you weren't asked to stop volunteering because they caught you in an act of something that was just above reproach, or no, not above reproach, but a problem. They didn't catch you doing something that was just sinful by their standards. You were asked to stop volunteering because of church attendance. That's not God's love. That's man's judgment. Your friend didn't ask you to stop coming to dinner because, you were trying to get her to engage in sexual acts or deviant things. You were expressing your struggles and how you needed someone to help you and what you wanted to understand more, and how it was difficult for you to comprehend how you could go from talking to someone for a couple of months to marrying them and being with them forever. You were being pressured. That wasn't God's love for you, baby. That was man's bullying of you in the name of the Lord. These are spiritual gangsters. These are spiritual Vikings. These are spiritual thugs. These are bullies. You were bullied. Being approached about why you have questions about the rapture doctrine, that is bullying you, trying to get you to be quiet, stop asking because you might cause somebody else to have questions too. Bullying. You cannot work at this coffee shop because you don't come enough. Come more, you'll be able to serve again. Bullying. Oh, you ain't been coming enough. We ain't gonna be able to counsel you in the marriage we're trying to force you into. Bullying. You want to be counseled and get the tools to actually have a successful marriage? Possibly. Start coming and stop asking questions. Bullying. Oh, you want to be able to keep coming over here and having connection with someone in church even though you don't go to church anymore? You want these meals, sis? You ain't getting them. Because you told me that you out here doing things that are sexually immoral. And I can't be breaking bread with you. Bullying. Change your behavior. You might be able to sit at the table. Bullying. And it's not fair. It's not right. But it's okay. That's what Whitney Houston said. It's not right. But it's okay. And you've been subjected to all of this in the name of who? God. In the name of who? The Father. In the name of who? The Son. But come to find out, ain't no Holy Spirit in it. So what I would like to submit to you, if you are on a journey of removing yourself to get clarity and peace, let this be your peace. You have not done anything wrong. You simply have gone from making a choice to live for God. You've simply made a choice to, no, let me take that back. You made a choice to accept Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior. You did not make a choice for Jesus Christ's minions to bully you. And some people are not going to like this, and I don't care. But it is very much high time for people to be allowed to have their level of relationship with their creator that best serves them and does not serve you. Because all of these things that were explained were things that people did to you because they did not want you. Well, they didn't like what you were doing. It didn't please them. And instead of them helping and guiding you to truth or with compassion, they literally left you out to dry. And that to me does not sound like the love of God. So take your time, process through this. This is your sign. Am I saying all churches are like this? No, But let me tell you something. I've experienced some of the things that you've described in this email, which tells you what? It's a people problem. It's a people problem. Your salvation should not be up for a revoking of your license or your certification. Your salvation cannot be revoked by man. And all of these were signs of them revoking access to God because you were not doing things that pleased man. And if God has not turned its back on you, if God has not decided that you don't deserve based off of attendance or struggle or question you have, who does man think they are to exert that kind of power over your life? It's not fair, it's not right, but it's okay. You will make it, you will survive, child. This is just an organization. You still can claim your salvation. You're okay. The code is still redeemable, honey, regardless of your attendance or non-attendance. It's all right. So thank you so much for sending in this video. Again, after watching this video, I hope you have or you will watch the video about telling a different story. Process through this. Take the time that you need and understand that you were not the villain in this story. And I'm not going to even call you the victim in this story, but they definitely did things that victimized you. You definitely were, you did have things projected onto you and punishments, placed on you for reasons that served them to get you to fall back in line. But I'm so glad that you were wise enough and you were conscious enough to see it and remove yourself from it. Whew, that is the beauty. Most people stay around too long and they're 30 years in, 25 years in, 10 years into the ministry, still suffering at the hands of people because they think that God would be unpleased if they left. It is not God's will for you to be tormented and miserable. That's hell on earth. And a lot of it is existing in these churches, and it's sickening. So kudos to you for leaving. Thank you so much again for sending in your email. If you guys have enjoyed this video or have any feedback for the viewer, drop down in the comment section below and share your 2 cents as well. We love to start the dialogue and have the conversation about how these churches are truly operating in the way that they do not mind ostracizing and isolating people who truly need them, have come to church for community, and instead they find everything but community, and they find a lot of stipulations on their salvation, and it's really not fair. So yeah, I've enjoyed it. I will respond to any emails that you send. Please, please, please submit your emails to mytwocentmatters. That's mytwocent, mycentmatters @gmail.com. I can't wait to hear from you guys. Take care. I'll see you all in the next one. Bye.